always, Bruno and to the garden for setting it up. So let's begin. So we're going to turn to the side and remember in gratitude that it's not my knowledge. I'm passing it along and I'm glad to do so. And I want to thank you guys for your time and your efforts up to this point and into the future. Okay, so today we'll start right foot forward, left foot back. Remember that the feet need to be shoulder width apart and you're sort of making on the ground, think about it, a rectangle sorts. So there's a corner of the rectangle here, here, and then there, but you're at the two sides. So you're going to push forward to the edge of one on the front, and then back to the edge on the outside on the back. So it's like a diagonal movement in a sense, because it's going across the center line. So today for the warm-up anyways, we're going to focus on linear, forward and back. So just forward to an extreme and just back to an extreme. And you want to be really careful your head is not coming up and down, right? There's no bobbing, it's just forward, back, forward, back. Now, pay attention to your feet, the weight on your feet. Pay attention to the weight coming to the front of the foot, and then the weight pushing to the back of the foot, to the front of this foot, and then to the back of this foot. So there's two parts of each foot, the front and the back, and all of it is being pressed in a sequence. And think about how what that does is it pushes your hips forward and back. So if your hips are being pushed forward and back, so are your shoulders. So you feel the shoulder come back, come forward, back, and forward. So you have one wave that comes in, down to the feet, and then up from the feet, out through the shoulder. Back and forward. It's a feeling as much as anything else. Now, if your movement is coming up from the feet, into the hips, into the shoulders, and you let your hands disconnect from the body, you can notice right away your hands want to fall forward or move forward and come back. So allow that to happen. Just thinking of the swinging arms with the hands about the height of the belly button. Now, we're going to just take this movement and expand it to a maximum. So the maximum is reached coming back, palms up. The maximum is reached going forward, palms forward. But see, they're fairly close. The elbows, the wrists, and the shoulders are in line, and the fingers are pointing outwards. In, breathe out. So maximum in, palms come up. Everything's pulled back. Maximum out, palms push forward. And again, wrist, elbow, and shoulder are aligned. Now really think about pushing something. It's heavy. You've got to get your feet under you. You can't push with your shoulders. You've got to push with your legs. And pull, too. Push and pull. Now, that's the movement. That's how you get there. From the feet up. Now go faster. Speed it up. Pushing something heavy every time. Pushing something heavy every time. And then slow it down. Breathe in, make two fists. Breathe out, squeeze your fists. Focus to a single point in front of you. Triangulate your energy together. 1, 2, and then one more for 3. Breathe in. Squeeze and focus. Everything comes to a single point and hold it. Exhale all your air out. Hold it. And then breathe in. Feet together, cleansing breath. Down. Round the toes up. Push and stretch. Good. So, other side, left foot forward. Again, you're standing on 2 points of a rectangle. The empty space here and the empty space here are the other 2 points. So I'm going to bring my weight all the way to forward on 1 point and all the way back to the other point, keeping the back straight and the head up, shoulders relaxed, and not allowing any of this kind of thing as I move. The spine is just moving on a conveyor belt. Conveyor belt moves at a level parallel to the ground. So again, thinking about the front of the foot, the back of the foot, the front of this foot, the back of this foot, and then vice versa, moving forward. So we'll wear all points in between point A and point B. Now, the hips are pulling the shoulders. Shoulders can start to pull the elbows. Hands free from the body. And then that movement gets bigger. And as it gets bigger, we start to remember the hand positions, right? So we come back, palms up. We go forward, palms forward. Back and forward. And start to think about the push. Push something away. Pull back. Push something away. Pull back. And now, speed it up. And you can go faster if you can. You have to warm it up, nice and warmed up. And then switching gears, make your fists stand slow. Big breath in, big breath out, focus to a single point. 2, and 3. All your breath out. Hold it, squeeze your stomach and your hands, focus your mind. And then feet together. Cleansing breath. Push. Ground your toes up. Push. And shake. Good. Okay, let's warm the hips up a little bit more and then we'll do the stretch. So hands up. Actually, put your hands like this today. So the hands are forward like this, pointing down. What I want you to do is bring your left knee to your right hand and vice versa. So that means you're going to have to shift your weight and bring your knee up and across. So it's a little bit of a different motion than just straight up, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now, we're going to start with left knee to right hand. And then it's going to go across to left and then down again. So you're going to touch both hands going in a circle. 1, down, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you go across, 5. So that was going from inside to outside. Now outside to inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So that's the idea. Other leg, inside to outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then outside to inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Hands forward, back straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shake it out. And put your feet out and sink down, elbows to the knees, and start to stretch. Relax, wiggle your hips, sink the stretch nice and deep. Find a kind of equilibrium where your body can just sort of suspend itself here. And every breath, relax a little more. Now, point your feet forward, bring your fingertips to the floor, and sink even lower. Then come up, elbow to the knee, one side. And then the other side. Straighten up. And today turn to your right to start. We'll start with the right. Lean into the stretch. Want your right toes to the right or even outside to the right somewhat. And then lean in. Push the other foot back. Bring your head forward. Lean forward so your head is above your toe on your right side. And then hand out. Heel up, runner stretch, and sink. Back knee down, push your weight forward. And then bring your weight up. Walk back to your left foot, Tai Chi stretch. Hands to the floor in the middle. Straighten your back. And turn to your left. And settle the stretch. Lean in. Make sure your toes are pointing in the right direction. And then lean your head forward. Bring your weight over the foot. Turn, heel up, runner stretch. Your back knee down, push your weight forward against your left. And then walk yourself back to your right foot for Tai Chi stretch. And then hands to the middle, work your feet in. Straighten the back of your legs. Breathe in. Breathe out. Circle your hips. And the other way. And shake. So swing your hands up. Just throw it here like you're sort of standing in pile stance, and then just nice and light, in and out. You don't have to go above your shoulders yet. Just stretching here as you come back. And then let the hands come up to the height of the shoulders and down. So it's a bit of a bigger motion, about halfway of what the hands can really do in terms of coming up. And now above the shoulders, eye height and back. Eye height and back. And then the final one is above the head, full extension up. And back. Nice and slow so you feel the whole motion of it. And then stretch. Pull your fingertips away from each other. And then through the shoulders, twisting one way and the other. Let the elbows, or sorry, let the shoulders roll to each side. It's all about the shoulders and the hands secondary. And then extend to the left and hold it, really stretch. And then extend to the right and hold it and really stretch. Back to the center, drop down. Shake it out. Breathe in. And up. 2, 3. And then reach up, look up, palms forward, tippy toes. Push your toes down, fingers up, relax your back. See if you can go a little higher, and then a little higher yet. And then bring your heels down, arm across, pull it in close, twist from your hips, and see how far you can go around. See if you can coil like a spring. Keep twisting, keep twisting, keep twisting. And then come back to center. Other hand up, pull the elbow in close, and turn from your feet, and see how much of a spin you can get, how far around you can go. Push the top of your head up though, so your spine is straight. And then drop your hands. And then reach up again. And this time when we go on our tippy toes, turn your palms to the outside, push your thumbs up. Okay, ready, go. Pushing the thumbs up and the toes down. And then drop, bring the hands around, grab the ball. Drop, ball. From here, take your right hand and reach up and around like you're taking off the helmet, and then help with the other hand and stretch to the maximum of what your shoulder can do. I was saying this to another class this week, but I'll share it here too. This is a really good stretch for being able to get out of joint locks. So if somebody puts you in an arm bar, your hand come down, somebody puts you in an arm bar or puts you in a various kind of jujitsu locks, having the flexibility of your shoulder is one of the key things to get out of that, or very helpful things. So this is a very important stretch for that. Not only is it useful generally, but for that. So bring your left hand up, like you're gonna reach to take off the helmet, right? And you get to the point that you're gonna take off the helmet and then you push further. And what you wanna do is you wanna pull the elbow up and back as far as it can go. But like all stretching practices, that's never really as far as you can go. That's just your body's first attempt to stop doing something it's not sure about. So take a breath in And as you breathe out, relax your shoulder and go further. You can do it. Just a little bit, just a little bit. And then do it again. Breathe in, relax the shoulder, relax the arm. Go a little further. See? You teach yourself to learn how much mobility you really have, basically. And then drop your arms. Shake it out. But then you can imagine somebody's got you in an arm. Well, I don't know if you can imagine very well, but imagine somebody grabbed you and put you into like a jiu-jitsu, like a martial art lock. If you tense up, the shoulder's range of motion is gone. It's just stuck there. But if you can relax and breathe and use that breath to get all kinds of weird angles with your shoulder, you can find the way out quite often just from that. So, just a little bit about the stretch. Anyway, left hand up, do the wrist stretch. Over and then in and twist. Remember when we're doing this, that we don't want the thumb to be pressing like this. We want to have strength in the thumb. Focus like that. And crane beak. And now put your palm, lao gang, on the knuckle of the index finger. And then let the hand collapse so that the middle finger goes across the knuckles. That's the position you want to do this from. Again, that's to do with application. So do the stretch, stretch. And then relax a little bit, but imagine that your hand was here and you grab like this now. So you just go from here to there, and you've got throwing the thermos away in the beginning of the form posture. That's what you're doing to that person, is this stretch on this angle. So it's a little note to, if that helps you with that a little bit maybe. So, other hand. Over. Twist, and remember to use your thumb without pushing it this way, push it this way. And then the crane beak, as I said, middle of the palm, finger down, rest of the fingers, push. Good. And put your hands on your hips, head side to side. Roll, 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 and roll. Look forward, look up, down, and go around. 1, 2, 3. Other way. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you want a quick drink of water, that would be just fine. Yeah. All right. So this class, as far as I remember it, is just running through to the end of the form now, the whole thing. We're coming up on the last major stretch, I think. So why don't we spend time on that, focus, unless there's, of course, any questions, we can jump into that, but jumping into the end of this third set, does that sound okay? They're here, yeah, okay. So if I jump into it from the end of the second cloud hands of the third set, where you reach out and you come back and do this, is that gonna be okay? That works? I see thumbs up, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. So let's do that, and then I'm not exactly sure where we're at, but I know we're somewhere just past that. So, here, set your single whip. So single whip, take a moment to really settle into this position. Why don't we do this for a moment first, actually. Stand in horse riding stance, facing forward. Now, turn your left foot to the left by pivoting your heel in and you're on the ball of your foot. And then turn your right foot to the left by pivoting on the ball of foot and the heel comes out. And then lean to your right or left side, and that's your posture. It's here and there. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that makes some sense. I guess you couldn't see my feet, but now from here, the left hand is saying stop to the left side. What's important here is that I'm clearing my shoulder on that angle. I'm not here. See how my shoulder is exposed here? I've got to clear my shoulder to that side. Now the right hand is a crane beak, and it's not this, right? It's not full extension. It's comfortable extension. There's a crane wing. There's the beak. It's this wave pattern. It's a wave pattern, right? Here. And it's going up into the corner. It's not directly behind you. It's slightly to the corner. Now from here, your hands aren't going to drop at all. They're going to stay at this height. I'm going to reach forward as I bring my right heel up with my right hand. Okay, so now here, all of my weight is forward on my left foot. My left hand has come into my center. Then my right hand comes down for the first time as I come back, and my left hand emerges out and forward here. Okay, so now I've brought everything into my center. And now I'm going to turn that center around 180 degrees and push down two hands, left hand on top of right. And this is right here, right? This, turn to here. It's right there, that spot. Now, up. Now, as the hands rise, the real important thing is you're pushing down with your feet. So you push your head up, your foot down, and you raise your hand. And then your root on your left foot is strong, so you can pick up your right foot. Push forward, bring the foot back. Now, as the knee comes down and you step forward, drop and brush. There's the ball. I step, I'm going to move back so I can finish the step. I step, my left foot leads, and then my hands follow. And I reach in and up. My two hands turn in space, and I step with my right foot to the corner. My right foot goes ahead of my hands. And I do a double strike with this part of my hand and an uppercut here. I grab the head, and then I pull it down to my left hip. I remember doing this now last week, so this is as far as we've gone to it. Yeah. Okay, so let me reiterate something really important, and then I'll start to move forward a bit. But in all cases for now, there might be exceptions, but they're like 1 in 100,000 exception. In all cases, you need to think about your feet have to be faster than your hands when you step in. It doesn't do you any good to reach into a fight like this. You've got to get your body underneath your hands when you reach into it. So whenever you see movements like this one, this is a good example of it. Because when I'm here, there's a tendency to do this and then step. It won't do any good. If I try to hit somebody right here with any power or push them or whatever, I'm just going to get pushed backwards. I've got to get into a stance that my feet can bear the weight and then push. So make sure you're leading with your foot. Okay. So if we just did the right foot kick, and my right foot came down and I brushed the knee, I was here. So go to here. Just remember this in your mind. Your foot, your left foot comes forward and then the hands follow the foot. So you do your uppercut and your block. Now, my right foot has to lead the way to the corner. So as my hands turn, my right foot comes in and I turn myself to the corner and then my right foot leads as my hands come in. Okay, does that make sense? Everybody kind of understand what I'm trying to get at? Okay, this really, it's going to be there for the rest of your training forever because it's just, you have 2 arms and 2 legs. This is how they work. So from there, we're going to do catch a sparrow by the tail. So we always enter catch a sparrow by the tail with this posture. So we're just doing it with closed hands. It's not a different posture, it's just closed hands. We still grab the head, and the first movement is to bring the head down to the left hip. And that's the point it's going to change. So yeah, I'm going to explain it in 2 ways. So first, what I'm going to imagine is that the attacker I was dealing with, that I went into the corner with this way, as soon as I pull their head down to here, they fall down and they're out of the picture. And now there's another attacker coming from the side. So that's going to make it make more sense to develop this movement. The second thing though is let's review this part of catching a sparrow by the tail, because there's certain points along the movement I want to point out. So if I'm facing the camera and I've gone here, I grab the head. Actually, I'm going to point it this way. Point number one is hand to the hip. Okay, so I'm down at my left hip. Point number two is up to the left shoulder. Point number three is down to my center here. And then point number four is up and roll and push. Okay, so let's think of it as four. What you want to do is you want to do exactly that with your upper body, but then match it with a new stepping pattern. So let's go from here. I've just attacked this person here, done an uppercut and a strike. I grab their head and I pull them down, and now they're done, and I've reached point number one. My hands are at my hips. Now, when I reach point number one, I'm going to turn and go from the corner to the side with my right foot. So I pull this guy's head down, and then I turn to the side one movement. So see, I'm here, and I come to there, 45 degrees from corner to side. So point number one here, as now I'm facing directly to the side. Now, I'm going to step forward with my right foot and bring my hands from hip to shoulder. And then I'm going to step forward with my left foot and bring my hands from shoulder to stomach. And then I'm going to step forward with my right foot and bring my hands up and push. Okay, that's what we're doing. So let's do it again. We'll break it down. One. So I grab their head and I pull it down to my hip and turn to the side in one movement. Oh, this is going to be easier to explain it this way. I apologize. Explaining this stuff in detail sometimes throws it. Okay. So anyways, yeah, point number one is here. Point number two, where my hands come up to my shoulder, that's when my right foot comes forward, here. Yeah. Then I'm going to bring my hands back down to my belly here in front, and that's when my left foot steps forward. Okay, so we're just going to do that much until it makes a little more sense, because I kind of muddled the initial explanation. So here, and now pull down to your hip, turn to the side, one. Now bring your hands up to your shoulder, right foot reaches in, two. Left foot steps forward, your foot is faster than your hand to come to your center here. Okay, again. One, two, three. Okay, I'll do it one more time just like that, and I want to see that you guys can do this, okay? So, one, two, three. Okay, now just do that much, and just make sure the stepping looks about right. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, okay. So all you got to do then is add one more step and the completion of the movement, okay? So go to here, down to the hip, turning to the side. Right foot moves forward, hands come up. Left foot moves forward, hands come down. Now, from here, my right foot steps forward again, and I come up with my hands, and I push, and there's even a slide sometimes. You don't have to do the slide, but I often do. You shift it like this, okay? So let's do it again. One, two, three. Again. One, two, three. Okay, now try to work it out. You just gotta flow with it. You just gotta flow with it. End up in the right place. Good, Bruno, that looked good. Do it again though, keep practicing. Yeah, you got there too, yeah. And yeah, okay, everybody's doing it. Everybody's got the sense of it's coming, it's there. Now, here's what you want to imagine, okay? So, as I said, the attacker in the corner, they're dealt with by this first movement in the way I'm explaining it. So that person's done with. The next attacker is coming from this side here. Now, if you imagine somebody reaching in with the two-handed grab that we often refer to, you know from the beginning of the form that if I come up with the back of my wrist, I can knock their arms up, and then I'll knock them this way. But if I do that and then I shift in and push them, what happens is they go up and back out of the response of getting hit here. And then you push them when they're leaning back, you can push them down quite easily. So it's taking that idea, but then just bringing it to a sort of a maximum potential. Because what I'm going to do then is as that person comes in to grab me, I'm going to move forward and knock their arms up. And what that means is that when they reach for me, I'm going to end up right in front of them. They're like right there in front of me. And what that means is that when I step forward and push, every part of my push has them being pushed back. Because if you think about pushing somebody, right? So, because sometimes this is one of the aggressive behaviors that comes across in like dumb fights, sort of things, is a person will push another person like this, right? Like, I'm gonna give you a push. They're only contacting that person in the last 4 or 5 inches of that push. But if you step in and you push from here where you're contacting them right there, all of this is pushing them back. Very different type of thing. And so not only am I doing that, I'm moving in and I'm going to push them right from here, but I continue stepping and shifting as I do. And what happens is that principle of the arms being knocked up and them leaning back like this, you move right in and you push them, they start going back, but you move in again and keep pushing, and you can push people pretty far. It's quite a skill if you time it right. So it's a very timing thing too. So this is how you'd want it to look and you practice it. So if I go to here, just watch my feet and my hands work together. So I'm here. It's just kind of like a quick shuffle step. And then you keep doing the movement. Okay, so do that a few more times and see if you can try to visualize that to the best of your ability and play with it for a second. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Keep going. A couple more times. All right. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. You guys are picking it up really well. Okay. So keep playing with it. Keep playing with it. That's one of those moves where sometimes you do it and it just feels beautiful. And then other times you're like, I kind of smell it up. It's a long journey to play with. Anyway, let me point out something about it and we'll move on. All the times that you do catch a sparrow by the tail, you always do this push at the end. Normally when I teach it for the first time, when it's a stationary position, I always, this part is to draw the person's weight forward so that again, you're pushing them all the way back from here back. Now, if we think about the pressure points we learned from the beginning of the form here, which is the base of the collarbone here. So just take a quick moment to remember that. The base of the collarbone, the first third of it, in behind it is the stomach 11 point, and it's a bundle of nerves. Now, go towards the shoulder in a sort of a diagonal line and find the hollow point between the joint of the shoulder and the pectoral muscle, and sort of you have to dig in a little bit usually, then you find it, you get it, it's in there. So in here is called lung 1 and 2. Now I won't get into exactly where, it's in this area. This is a vulnerable point for the lungs. So when you're doing this push away, this part of your hand is going right into that little groove right on around on the joint here. And that's going to be an attack on the lungs, essentially. So there's a little more strategy to this than it might seem, because when I step in like this, right? If you do that to somebody, they're gonna get shocked, like, whoa, a person came right at me. Like that's always, almost inevitably always gives you that response this way. Especially if that person assumes that you're going to be a victim of an attack. They're just going to, attack you and not fight back. Suddenly you're in their face. And then you attack the lungs and push them back. What that means is the response of seeing the face come at you is go and to clench up in here. And that means your air is cut off and there's tension here and you attack that tension. And then the lungs get overwhelmed and it just adds layers to the effectiveness of the technique. And you can start to think about that in your practice of all of these movements here. Sure. I'm attacking a specific point for a specific reason, for a specific response. And it's always getting more and more developed in that sense. So let's review it again from here. right? I'm gonna step in for my first uppercut, then I'm gonna step in for my second uppercut. I'm gonna grab the head, and I'm gonna do the sequence. 1, 2, 3. Okay. From here, it's stuff we know. In fact, this is the last single whip in the form. And if you remember from the first single whip, where you're just did catch the sparrow by the tail, you go straight to the front rather than the diagonal. You do that again here. So the first single whip and the last single whip are along the straight line. So if I had just done this here, I look to the front and I do single whip straight to the front. Okay, so let's review that one more time just to put it together. So from here, first uppercut, turn to the corner, second uppercut, and then sequence. 1, 2, 3. Single whip to the front, straight to the front. Okay, now, this is the last big push of movements in the form. This is the last main sequence in the form. So before I start getting into it, because we may or may not get through the majority, we probably won't get through all of it today, but we'll get close. One of my favorite things about music is what's called dynamics in music, which is when a song can be quiet or loud or anywhere in between. One of my favorite elements of a really good song is the songs that do all these amazing things that at the end have this incredible expansive push and then they finish. So you end on this super high note, right? It's a crescendo. Whatever. A lot of martial art forms do this too. And so this to me is the crescendo of the Tai Chi form. It's this next sequence. It's very, very challenging, but it's as I said all along, this is as high level skill as martial arts can do in terms of the idea of just how skilled you'd have to be to really do this well. So enjoy. Let's see if we can start it out today. From here, I'm gonna go to snake creeps down in the same way I did before. So my right foot comes in, I step back and out, I drop, I reach down my left knee, and then I come up forward again to protect my head. So remembering all that from earlier before. Now from here, I'm gonna show you my feet. Oh, relax for a second, show you my feet. Now, from here, if you remember from Golden Pheasant's stands on one leg, this foot and this hand came together up this way, right? So that's going to actually happen again. This foot and this hand are coming together, but what they're doing is forming an uppercut here. So if I'm facing this way, I've done snake creeps down like this, I reach here, I come forward, now this hand and this foot do an uppercut this way. You see? Now this is a special uppercut. Remember from Eagle Spreads Its Wings, we do this single knuckle strike here with this weird fist strike. This is what you're doing here in this uppercut. And this hand, the left hand, is coming on top like this. Okay? So that's very, believe it or not, that's a sign that this is a very advanced move. So I go to single whip, I come back, and now there's a swinging down of the hands, a swinging forward, and then again, right foot ahead of the hand to here. Okay, now let me do it facing the camera again. Watch how this frame in front of my body here, that's like a square with a triangle on top here, is all of the space I'm occupying. I'm not doing anything out here, right? I'm here. I come forward, and look, there's that dynamic of the width of my shoulders, right? Up and in. See how that's tight to the frame, okay? So one more time. And in. Okay, so what are we doing? Well, I throw somebody down. And I got to a position where my body weight's low and it's way on one side. So the next attacker is coming at me from this side. And I'm turned to meet them directly. Because that's what that idea is about, is you directly meet the attack. and then they punch you. And they punch you, if you all punch towards the camera with your right hand, okay, my hand's already here. I'm gonna block on the outside of the right hand, on top of it, and I'm gonna come up and punch into the armpit underneath. Right, so I'm punching underneath your arm with that punch here, okay? That makes sense? Okay, good. Now, do it again. Here, and I block and I punch. Now, that attacker punches again. I'll face the camera. They punch again, and what I do is I extend my left hand out to block here, punching to the head, and I bring my right hand back, and then they're gonna punch again, and I'll explain why in a moment. But what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna bring my left hand back down the block, and my right hand comes up and does another uppercut. But this time it's a normal fist. It's not a special fist. It's just a normal uppercut. Okay? So, let's do it again from here. I reach in. I do the first uppercut here. Now, oh, you gotta see my feet. Sorry. One sec. So I'm here, right foot in front, cat stance. Now when they punch again, and I block with my left hand coming out, feet come together. And then when they punch that last time, my left foot comes forward as my right hand comes out to there. So my feet went from here to here, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. So do it again, come back, reach in, punch one, and then punch 2 and 3. Well, 2. Okay. Let me go back and explain what's going on here, and then how are we doing for time? Oh, we're doing okay. So if you don't understand, the right hand punch comes in, and I deflect it here and punch the armpit. Then that person instinctually punches with their left hand, because the right hand's already been punched, and that's the block here. Okay, and then they punch with the right again, and this time I go on top of it and come over and hit over top of the pen, other than underneath. So I learned how to punch under an arm, and I learned how to punch over an arm. And as I learned to transition that, I am also blocking. So that's what's going on there. And this is the crescendo thing, because this guy is just not going down, right? You hit him in the armpit, you think that would be enough, but he keeps punching, and you go, okay, and another punch, and you keep going. So there's this intensity building in this moment, and it's leading to something, and we'll probably finish with that. So from back here, I reach in, and I do my first block, 1. I do my second block, and then my third block here. Okay, now make sure your feet did what my feet did. So do it one more time. Come back, down, reach in, 1, 2. Okay, now you guys try it and see if it works, and we can finish. Yeah, that's it, Bruno. That's it. And Bev, yeah, that's pretty good. So Felipe, can I see you do it, Felipe, please? Yeah, you're kind of falling off screen there, but you got the right beginning, for sure. I saw the right beginning. So let me face this way with it, and then just follow with me one more time, and we'll bring it to we're almost done, but I don't think we'll get the whole finish thing. We're almost done. So if I'm in single whip, and I step back, and I do the snake creeps down, I reach forward, and now my right foot and right hand come together forward, and then my right foot comes back, my left hand comes out, and then my left foot comes forward, and I go to the next one. Okay, so now my left foot's in front. Now from here, eagle spreads its wings. Okay, so my left hand is below, my right hand is above. Okay, now I want to relax for a second. I want to take that moment as a moment, if I compare it to music, it's the moment where a song builds up the intensity and then it's going to drop. And so that's the build up here. Or maybe not drop so much, but just go from there to another direction. So from here, fluid movement, dynamic drops, comes out, and then there's an attack, and there's another defense, and then there's another attack, and then there's a moment where you come to center and it builds to a point. And then you're going to do a spin. I'll show you what we want to do here. So remember in the beginning of class, I talked about the weight on the back of the foot and the front of the foot. There's a pivoting you can do on your heel, like in the beginning of the form. But when you want to do a really dynamic turn, you need to really put your weight on the front of your foot, on the ball of the foot, or else you'll wobble too much. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go down here, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to twist to my right and balance to the best of my ability on the ball of my right foot and do a perfect 360 spin. Back to here. Yeah. So that's the crescendo moment, right? The energy's building to this point and then you're like, oh. Okay? So let's try it together and that'll definitely be, that'll be enough for today. But I promise next week we're going to finish the form. So that's awesome, you guys. Okay, from here, down, in, 1, 2, 3, around. So try it a few times, have fun with it. It's looking good. Okay, so let's finish with this thought, and then I'll review what we did today. We'll call it class. Martial arts. My teacher always defined martial arts this way. He said martial, and he would relate it to the old, I think it's a Greco-Roman word maybe, martialis, which means conflict, having to do with conflict, but the idea of the agent or the aspect of it where it's resolved. So the thing that resolves conflict is the martial component. And art being the pursuit of perfection, knowing perfection cannot be achieved. And so that's what he thought of martial arts as. And of course, I learned what I learned from him, so I tend to think that's a pretty good way to look at it. This move is wonderful for this, because you'll never ever do this move 100% perfect. No one ever does. Maybe in your lifetime, if you studied like every day for the rest of your life, maybe 1 or 2 times you might do it so perfect you couldn't see the flaw in it, but that's not the point. The point is that it's the pursuit of that perfection every day. And what that is that's the care of life. You take care of life by working to achieve the best you can, knowing that there's no absolute perfection of that because it's an ever-growing, ever-changing thing. This move is perfect for that. There's no way that wasn't perfect. I could feel a number of things wrong with that. So I like to point that out. And then I like to connect that with something else. And this is a story from when I learned this move probably 20 years ago, I guess now. That's crazy. But I was training with my teacher in a little dojo he had set up at the time in Duncan, BC, in Vancouver Island. And we were going through this move, and somebody in the class said, "Why would you do that? Why would you just spin around in a circle like that?" And my teacher, I see he was thinking about an answer, but I just piped up and said, "Because then you can." And I was younger, I was a little more cheeky sometimes in classes, so I shouldn't really spoken up, but I threw that out there, and my teacher smiled and said, "Yeah, that's actually a good answer." So you want to learn to do some things because you can. So you have that ability there. I'm not going to tell you why today, I'll explain in the future, but sometimes being able to do things is more important than the reason why you do it. Just expand your abilities. That's what that pursuit of perfection, when you can't achieve it, is. Keep going. So that was what I wanted to finish with today. Any questions? And that's that. Okay. Thanks everybody for your time. As always, keep training. Take care of yourselves.